In this new decade, if there is great expectation from the youth of today, then it is from this young man, Congress General Secretary Rahul Gandhi, who was also seen at the conclave quietly listening to the speakers at the podium. Youth certainly was the buzzword at this conclave, and there was a session solely devoted to the young people debating idealism versus reality. The panel was drawn from the field of sports, cinema, business, and politics.
I've always been choosy about my films, whether be it the films that I've done down south or be it the films that I'm doing right now.
It's not just about getting to 2050. It's about figuring out the roadmap of how we're going to get there and what the country's going to look like. And we actually are the architects of that roadmap.
The youngsters speak and live a different language. No for them means now. How means somehow. And that is the way of living, which is simply wow.
Ideals usually shatter in the face of politics.
I fought 6 elections. I was idealistic. And yet what did I find at the end of 6 terms? I wanted to change the education system. I wanted the police to be there when I wanted them. I wanted education cheap. What did I find today? That it's easier to get pizza, faster to get a pizza, than to get the ambulance or the police to come to my home. For my child to get a good job, she has to go to many IITs, MITs to get a job. And yet to run this country, you don't need a degree. You need a caste. Can you change all that? Can you change this caste system?
I think, like I said, Rahul Gandhi, she has identified this as one of the biggest systematic changes that we want to bring in Indian politics in the next 10 years.
It's an answer which only Rahul Gandhi can probably give. And going by what RG had to say about the conclave, maybe he'll be back next year with all the answers.
Anyway, next time, but I'll go then.
I spoke about Indian Youth Congress.
Talk about you.
India is an idea.
I'm an actor. I'm a commodity.
If you thought our politicians are one-dimensional, have a single-point agenda and believe in creating ruckus in assemblies and parliaments, then you are wrong. The India Today conclave unveiled a completely new side of the Indian politicians. The conclave witnessed the best and the brightest from Indian politics. Unlike the tough-talking Chidambaram, most other leaders decided to follow their dreams.
My political agenda is not to become a political career in Delhi. I am not coming for that. I am not bothered about that. I am bothering about our poor people. I am bothered about the farmer suicides. I am bothering about the poverty. And I feel sincerely, this is all because of the wrong economic approach and bad governance is the basic reason for that.
We not only have a democracy which is vibrant, not only have a democracy which is working, but a democracy which is transforming change. And it's only by driving change can a democracy survive.
Progress of a thing, of our growth. Yes, we are a young country. We were ruled by the British, no doubt, that is history. Look at 64 years back and now where we stand. Who are we? India.
We have to change. We have to be bold. We have to meet the challenges of tomorrow. And the only way to do it is to allow the child to discover his own genius. And the way to do it is to free the child. And don't have parents dream for their children. Let children dream for themselves. In other words,
not only had the persona of individual speakers kept the audience glued, the intensity of debate had everyone asking for more.
I'd avoid that, thank you. Anyway, next time, but I'll avoid that.
I must agree, we should do this very often, and I was glad, I was actually honored to represent sport, not only hockey, so I actually enjoyed every moment there.
What are the ideas towards which we want to take forward our nation? So I think these are very, very important, relevant questions that the younger generation needs to find answers to, and for the very interesting session.
The India Today Conclave is a great platform for people from all walks of life to share their views and share experiences, and I think it's a very eminent forum.
It's been very exciting, and I think that the most wonderful thing about being here is that the selection of speakers has been very, very exciting.
This was the perfect icing on the cake. The conclave also celebrated Amir Khan's 45th birthday. Facebook. What do we have to say about that? It's a phenomena that touches the lives of 400 million people. A phenomena that was born in a college dormitory, created by 3 students whose only purpose was to keep in touch. One of them was Chris Hughes, a liberal arts major who pioneered some of the things that we take so much for granted in our online lives.
This young boy sitting up on stage is the speaker of this session. Do not be fooled by his innocent looks. He's all of 26, and thankfully for all of us, he's already done too much with his life. He has been instrumental in the election of President Obama through the innovative use of social media site mybarackobama.com. He is also the co-founder of Facebook.
A raise of hands for those in the room who have Facebook accounts as of today. Okay, that's a good sign. Facebook has arrived in India, I guess.
He's been called the world's most precious digital inventor. A Michelangelo who thought up the wondrous world we now know as Facebook.
We break up, we change our relationship status on Facebook. Some of us even choose to tweet while we're having an abortion to share the experience. We mourn the loss of a child through social media sites.
He can take a lot of the credit for giving millions everywhere a place to be themselves. A place rapidly becoming the true parallel universe.
This type of access was never possible before previously. You used to just be able to sit back and watch and consume. Now you can be part of the conversation and part of the debate.
The 26-year-old genius is looking for the next Facebook, the next transformational idea that will truly change how we live our lives and relate to each other.
There may be an indefinite moratorium on BT brinjal, and a final word is yet to be spoken. But the humble vegetable has divided India's polity and farmers in equal measures. A lively war of words between the advocates of 2 differing schools of thought. US writer-reporter Michael Spector and geneticist Suman Sahai kept the audience engrossed on day 2 of the India Today Conclave.
We have seen the clearest evidence of that kind of irrational and inexplicable thinking in the decision of the Indian government to ban BT brinjal.
On the question of whether BT brinjal was a misguided decision, I would obviously differ.
It's a ridiculous decision. I'll come back to that.
But unfortunately, the mythology of genetic engineering is replete with examples that are not substantiated by fact and by the reality.
BT brinjal has revived fears of what was once dubbed as frankenfoods or genetically modified crops. Michael Spector, though, is no stranger to irrational fears, and the science writer of The New Yorker knows how to dispel it.
Today, crops are grown on nearly 40% of the Earth's surface, and it takes 70% of our water to do it. We need to find another way to do this. If everyone in India took 2 aspirin right now, thousands of people would die by the end of this day. Thousands. Now, does that mean aspirin's a bad product? No, it doesn't. It means there are risks and benefits to everything we do.
Not all risks can be controlled. So what does that mean? When you have an artificial organism, like created out of synthetic biology, what can you get? Think of bio-warfare. If you have an anthrax attack, you know what anthrax is. You know how to deal with it. After it's killed a few people, you will have an antidote, you can put it into place. You know the bug, you know anthrax. You don't know mycoplasma.
The clash at the India Today Conclave for the first time brought into sharp focus a subject that's critical to India's food security.
Implementation of ideas and laws remains a big challenge even in the new decade. Take freedom of expression, for instance. From MF Hussain to Shah Rukh Khan, speaking your mind or expressing through your art is becoming increasingly dangerous. No one understands this better than the Booker of Booker winner, Salman Rushdie, who for 10 years had a price on his head. Rushdie's eloquent session at the Conclave was a call for freedom. He articulately spoke about the fatwa that changed his life and also came out in strong defense of MF Hussain.
In the face of violence and threats of violence, India should insist on displaying Hussein's paintings. Again, not to offend anyone, but to demonstrate India's commitment to liberty of expression.
Salman Rushdie's speech at the India Today Conclave is perhaps the strongest defense of artist MF Hussain to have been heard in India in recent weeks. The Booker Prize-winning writer's comment struck a chord with the audience, well aware of how much Rushdie himself has suffered at the hands of fundamentalist censors.
And my own example, I regret to say, has been used as an argument. If my work is unacceptable because of its alleged affront to Muslim sensibilities, then Hussain is unacceptable because Hindu sensibilities matter just as much. The Indian ban on the satanic verses was and is wrong. It should not be used to justify the current hostility being shown to MF Hussain. The exile of MF Hussain, his fears for his safety in his beloved homeland, the scurrilous cases brought against him, the weakness of the government response, and his decision to accept Qatari citizenship and cease to be an Indian national. These things are shameful, and Hussein's plight is a disgrace.
How did you handle all the intolerance and how did it affect your work? Was it an impetus or did it hamper your writing?
I don't know. I discovered that I'm a very obstinate person. You know, and my reaction to people trying to shut me up is to talk louder. You know, and I think the best answer you can give to somebody trying to silence your voice is to try and speak with greater firmness.
For men like me who is over 60 years old and lots of young-blooded men here, everybody would like to know the secret of you escorting charming young ladies or being surrounded by them at all times. Want to tell us what it is?
Yeah, drugs.
Like what?
It's the use of narcotics. I basically drug them and bend them to my will.
You obviously don't want to tell us.
That's it. I'm sorry. No, you think that's not the truth? I don't know. I'm just lucky.
Sir Rushdie really does have a way with the words and, of course, women. That was it from the India Today Conclave 2010. Until next year, goodbye.